Welcome back to Impulse Plays. I am Crazy Carl Winter here with the good doctor of pre-modern and everything old frame, Rich Shea. How you doing, Rich?
Hello, Carl. I am good. I am good.
Excellent. I'm
I'm
glad to have you
ready
on.
to record this commentary.
Yes, we are going to talk about a sweet match we have between, actually, I think probably Rich's muse, Andy Culpepper, playing Parallax Replenish, which I'll toss up on the screen now. And he's playing against Stifle Knot, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Rich, what do you think about this list? So it doesn't play the soul lands like your Replenish list plays, but I feel like it's kind of your list is kind of like a spiritual successor to his.
I absolutely have taken a lot of inspiration from Andy. In fact, I wasn't ever too keen on Replenish until Andy added Arcane Denial, and
Mhm.
that was sort of what unlocked the deck to me to be not only a combo deck, but also a control deck. And being
Hmm.
able to shift roles between combo and control has been why I found the deck so compelling over these past several months. So Andy has
Hmm.
had quite a lot to do with what I'm currently playing.
Yeah, I feel like you've had like a
Uh,
modicum of success, right? You've done okay, so that's good.
it's been okay. I think I won a game
Well, at least
at
at
some
least
point.
six. You won at least six games. But Andy's list actually has evolved quite a bit since then. He's taken out all the soul lands. He's running, I think, probably a more solid color mana base with some Mistress Factories. I don't know how you feel about Mistress Factory in your control combo deck, Rich.
I can't say I love it.
Fair
I
enough.
can't say I love it. Um, Part of what I want from a mana base is if you are moving from combo to control, what
Hmm.
you really need to get for that loss of celerity is consistency and stability.
Right.
And I dare say that in today's Spider-Man themed world, Mishra's Factory is actually less stable than a Soul Land.
Yeah, it does not make two mana, and it only makes colorless mana, which can be really tough when you're trying to cast your double blue, double white enchantments. So and your double blue
Sometimes
counter
there's a limit.
spells. Oh yeah, I don't know how I feel about counterspell in his deck. I love Mana Leak. I think Mana
And
Leak's fantastic. Counterspell I feel like is a big ask, but I guess we'll see.
And when you are facing a possibility of getting hit with a web, then
Hmm.
I just would not play Factory unless absolutely necessary. I'm playing
Hmm.
it in my Dreadnought deck in
Oh, the mono
the
blue
Fall
version.
Brawl.
Yeah,
I'm playing the David Raxa version. I'm having second, third, and fourth thoughts about Factory itself.
that makes sense.
Um,
Um,
so introducing it to a deck like Replenish, I don't think is worth it.
right, right. Yeah, I think Andy's kind of going for like a land still replenish kind of hybrid. But I like that you brought up Dreadnought because we can look at Josh's Stifle Knot list here, which is a blue black Stifle Knot playing Psychotog and Duresses. I think this deck is super sweet. I think this is the first time you're
This
looking at
is
it, Rich. What do
awesome.
you think?
Yeah, this is great. This is definitely the hero in this matchup.
I would
Um,
agree. I would agree. Parallax Nexus. These
I
are
think
two Parallax Nexuses in the sideboard.
look at that. Yeah, you've definitely gotten me with that card before,
Hmm.
and you can Nexus, Stifle,
Yeah, it's
just
so
get
good.
so much value. You can
So
build your own
powerful.
Mind Twist.
Yeah, yes, it's a 4 mana Mind Twist for five. Like you get to like put it on an installment plan, right? You get to put it 3 mana down now, pay a mana later, and then just do whatever you feel like you need to do after that. It's really sweet.
I really like everything about this. So I think that Josh is the hero, and I don't know who's going to win, but I think it's hard to argue with this deck being the good guy.
I 100% agree. I've been friends with Josh for a long time. Been friends with with Andy even longer. So I'm really glad to see them battle it out. So let's take a look. So we'll go over to our video stream, and we've got Andy on the left versus Josh on the right.
All right,
And
here we go.
as you see with the the time length of the video, we've got quite a match ahead of us, which is very exciting because
You
I
got me into your chat. Oh no.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But that's good. Like that means we don't have a blowout from Replenish. We don't have a blowout from the Dreadnoughts. Like it'll be great. So Andy's got a Plowshares, which is great against the Dreadnought. Counterspell. Does he have the double blue? I don't. Do you see a second blue mana there, Rich? I don't see that.
I I can barely see his hand, to be honest
Fair
with
enough.
you.
Yeah, yeah, you're working on a smaller screen than I am. Yeah, so he's got a planes. Oh wow,
I,
he drew the reflecting pool. How lucky. So he's got.
I am. I love the card Counterspell. It's an awesome card. It's a very high quality card. I play
Mhm,
it in old school. I don't particularly love it in this deck.
mhm,
The hoops that you have to jump through.
mhm,
There's for building a mana base, you have to recognize that there is a difference between getting to 2 blue mana on the second turn and two
mhm.
blue mana on the fourth turn.
Right.
16 mana is pretty healthy, pretty stable for the fourth turn, but you have to go further than that to
Mhm.
get double blue on the second turn.
Yep. Yep.
I don't think it's worth it. I don't want to be playing Coastal Tower in
Your
my
combo deck.
replenishment.
Yeah, no, for
Right.
sure, for sure.
Right.
Great in land still, arguable in replenish. But it looks like Josh doesn't have the turn two dreadnought, which is pretty great for Andy, although he has a million ways to deal with it. Um, but we get to see the Xerox nature of the dreadnought deck here with opt into impulse. And I think I made an argument with Andy and with you when I first started playing pre-modern. I'm like, I think impulse is one of the strongest cards of the format. Just get a lot
I'm
of
not
card
going to argue
selection.
with that.
Yeah, it's a great
I
card.
think that the rest might be a better card, but we don't need to pick one. We can just play blue black
Wow.
Psychonaut and play both.
Wow, Rich, I'm having a hard time seeing all the shade you're throwing. That's incredible.
I'm doing my best. I hope you're wearing sunglasses.
I do best I can. Looks like Josh is going to cast the aforementioned duress. Very nice.
Hey, there it is.
The correct
Man,
version of it, and Andy responds with a counterspell. Okay, looks like they're going to not
I'll also
update
accept
our
7th
lifeline.
edition as a good version because Pete Venter's art is never incorrect.
That's true. It is very good. It is very good. I don't think life total is going to matter too much in this game, but it seems like like Josh and Andy are like super locked in because they are not paying attention to that phone at all, which is great.
Absolutely. A good Magic game should distract you from your phone.
100%. All right, so Josh, I'm guessing has a counterspell here for this opalescence. Oh, that does not feel
Yeah.
good. That does not feel good.
Opalescence is a card which itself is inert, but it
Mm,
just transforms your otherwise inert cards into threats. So,
yes, very much
uh,
so. Very much so. Yeah, it's a must counter. Like you just can't let them resolve. Like every
it
single
is.
enchantment after that is just pure gas. And
Yeah.
I did
Have
not
you
notice.
ever asked for attunement before?
I
It's
have
really
attacked
good.
with attunement. It's pretty great. Yeah. I noticed Andy's playing four seal cleansing in this deck. That is, well, there's one of them right there that he just drew. That is pretty good against this Dreadnought deck, which Phyrexian Dreadnought, notable artifact creature.
What is he playing?
He's playing four seal cleansing.
Wow. Four
Yeah,
swords, four seal, and that's not even getting into the parallax wave, which resets your dreadnought. So I
right.
think Josh has a bit of an uphill battle. Now he does have our friend Dr. Teeth, who
Yes, he
can still be
does.
swords but not sealed.
Correct. Yeah.
And you would normally say that he would have the benefit of that brain freeze in the sideboard,
Hmm.
but brain freeze can be mostly countered by a stifle.
Right.
Is
Which I don't. I see
Andy
Andy has
oh,
one in his sideboard. Yeah, his one stifle on
only
his
one
board.
on the board? Interesting.
I don't know if he
I
brings it in
don't.
against the Dreadnought deck. Like it doesn't seem like like maybe if you're expecting Brain Freeze. But again, Josh is only bringing in one Brain Freeze, and it's not like you want to stifle your opponent's Parallax Nexus. So I don't think that's the card that Andy's
You
gonna bring
don't.
in. Yeah.
It's a reverse battle growth on a Psychotog, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
mostly, I would still bring it in because uh, looking at Josh's mana base, he's really dependent on that polluted delta.
Right.
Um, and you do get value out of Brain Freeze, plus you can retain the value from your own Parallax cards.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of the superior crew, we've got the duress coming in. Andy's got Tide
And
and Opalescence, both of which are very powerful.
now,
I feel like Josh has got
now,
to go for the Tide here. What do you think, Rich?
does he have any way to remove the Opalescence? Because if not, that'll actually get him.
Uh, oh, he took a plow. Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
Josh does
Um,
have two powder kegs, so with two opalescences in play, he could deal with it, but not so much with
interesting.
one. Okay, so that makes me think that Josh is gonna try and go for a Dreadnought next turn with backup because
I
he's not gonna play Dreadnought Stifle and then get plowed. He's gonna have to have Dreadnought Stifle, then Vision Charm or
right.
Counterspell.
So he has to feel confident that he has a counter in hand and that he'll be able to defend the Dreadnought from the onboard removal plus the other removal. It's
Mm-hmm.
so this has to be a tempo play from Josh. The only reason to take swords there is
Mm-hmm.
that you expect to force Andy into spending four and then spending four again.
Right. Okay, so Andy goes for another Opalescence, which I think is pretty nice, but you got to pull the counters out of Josh, and that gets an
Yeah,
actual
yeah. How
factual
do you not?
counterspell. Beautiful Tempest counterspell, of course. Love that art.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, great
Um,
set that was.
yeah. Okay, so Andy. Okay, drew Coastal Tower for the turn. Okay, so yeah, Josh just has to have a lot of answers for the answers that Andy has for his combo. So maybe he's just paving the
Yeah,
way for a later play. So maybe Josh is looking for a longer game here.
I don't like that. I think if you're going for the longer game, you would take one of these must counters.
Mm-hmm.
If you are if you're Josh, you're the Xerox deck, which means that the longer game should favor you, which means that you would want to take from Andy a card that precludes your going into the longer game, which means taking
Mm-hmm.
Opalescence or Tide. So
Yeah.
if Josh were not going to try to go off on his turn, I don't think taking the swords made sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's an interesting take. Because the Replenish deck has, I don't want to say inevitability, but the Replenish deck has a lockout potential, whereas the Dreadnought has to, like best case scenario, resolve a Psychotog and then attack for 20. That's the best case scenario. More likely than not, you're looking at Dreadnought and attacking twice. And Andy resolves
I
the
mean,
Tide. Wow. Okay, that's
getting an ATOG and attacking for lethal is the base case scenario in Magic.
I
So
100% agree.
this is uh, this is
Okay.
brutal. I If Josh didn't have double counter or the ability to halt this, then he really should have not. He should have taken either Tide or Opalescence.
Yeah, I think I would have taken Tide. Okay, so Andy's not doing the Tide seal cleansing trick, which for those of you that are not super familiar with pre-modern, because I've had some folks comment that they're like, I don't know what's going on.
Interesting.
So I'm happy to explain it. So Parallax Tide is an enchantment that has five fading counters on it when it enters the battlefield. You can remove a fading counter to exile a land until the Parallax Tide dies or leaves the battlefield, in which case you then have a returns trigger that brings all those lands back. But the way it is
Oh,
worded, you can remove all the lands you want with Parallax Tide, holding priority, destroy it with the seal cleansing that Andy just happens to have on board, and then that triggers the return ability before all those lands get exiled. And if I'm doing my math correctly, Rich, that would mean that Josh would just not get any of his lands back.
Josh would not. Now, the reason that Annie might not have gone for it there is that if Josh has a stifle, he can stifle the seal.
Well, yeah, very good point. Yeah.
And
And then Andy's just out of luck with
um,
his empty Parallax Tide.
right. On the other hand, right now, Andy's only getting kind of marginal value out of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of why I like that one main deck stifle. It just lets you use Tide at a whole different level. But
Yeah,
without the Tide main, Andy is buying time at best.
I've seen lists
Maybe
that
this
Andy
is
has
what he's
played.
setting up.
Yeah, I've seen lists that Andy played prior that did play three Stifles main deck just to be able to intuition for them. This is clearly not one of those lists, but he's going for the accumulated knowledge, which I think is strong. Like 5 mana draw three is not the worst rate you have in pre-modern.
Oh, it's good, but what's that Tide doing right now?
Making Josh pay life
I don't
for
think
his
it's doing very
so
much.
I actually think it is because Andy has a Mishra's Factory on board, and it's making Josh pay life for his blue, at the very least, blue mana spells. And that Mishra's Factory is going to eventually chip down. I can't see the life totals, but Josh has taken a non-zero amount of damage. I
Hmm.
think Josh just wrote down 14 if I'm reading the strokes correctly of his pen, because that's where we're at, because
Okay.
they are not being capitulant with using the life total tracker that I provided for them. But
Yes.
that's 7 attacks from Mishra's Factory. That's not nothing.
If Andy had already had the intuition in hand, then I actually would have preferred hit four of your land, hold priority, and seal.
Yep.
That would have let him have one turn where an upkeep he could have intuition for AK and cast it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it would have been safer. So
For
I think
sure.
it would have won in the game if Josh didn't have Stifle, and if Josh did have Stifle, it still would have built his own two-card mana short so
Yeah.
that he would be likely to resolve that five mana ancestral. So I
Yeah.
think I would have played it that way.
That's fair. But I mean, Andy did just get him for two, and Josh did just take a damage for that opt, and that is a non-zero amount of damage. That is, strictly speaking, more than zero, which is not something I think Josh is gonna be able to afford for very long. That said, that tide is gonna come back to bite Andy, I think, because Josh is gonna get all of his blue lands back, and there's gonna be no painful sources of blue. Josh can then
Mhm.
polluted delta for the swamp, and he's just good to go for the rest of the game.
That's true. You're right. It does let him get some damage in. It takes Josh off casting Gush, which is always a scary card.
Yeah, that's a very powerful card. Yeah, this is a very unusual Parallax Tide situation. Oh, he goes for the island, knowing he's going to swamp back or islands back. Interesting, but I think this is a weird like tempo burn Tide, which, if I remember
Mm,
correctly, Andy is a big fan of Tide Ankh Mishra. So I think he's using
that's true.
some of those instincts
Okay.
to guide his gameplay here.
Okay, that makes sense. And he is leaning into the factory, which
Hmm.
I, as above mentioned, have never been as big a fan of.
Yeah, but when you attack for two enough times, it's good enough. Okay.
It sure does.
So the powder keg is nice. However, Andy does have the seal of cleansing. Looking at his hand, I saw I think a pair of counter spells and a swords of plowshares. So I think yeah, Andy's pretty comfortable going for the seal of cleansing here. Josh looks like he has the stifle. Yep. And then Andy is going to use one of those counter spells to stop the stifle. So the stifle will not be able to counter the activated ability of the seal cleansing. However, the second stifle will, unless Andy decides to burn his second counter spell. But I don't know if that's the thing he wants to do.
It's not a great sign for Josh that he's investing multiple cards to try to stop a Mishra's factory from attacking him.
Mm-hmm. But Josh is again not at a negligible amount of life. He's been taking damage from those underground rivers. He's been taking damage from the Mishra's factory attacking.
That's true. I see according to the phone he's at 20, and according to the on-screen number he's at 0, so I'm just very confused
That
about
is
everything
fair. That's
now.
fair. So the numbers I have
I'm
on
gonna
screen for
average
those.
them and assume he's at 10.
Yep, no, he is at around 10. I was keeping track of the
Perfect. See?
strokes of the
Just good old
pen.
averaging.
I think that's 7 now that Josh is at. So yeah, I do provide the phone for people to update life totals as they're playing, and then the numbers are their game wins. So they're both at 0 game wins at the moment. Um, but yeah, there are a lot of numbers on the
I
screen, and none of them have anything to do with their life totals.
I tried to use a phone in my feature match at the the other cruise event, and
Hmm.
I was honestly flummoxed at trying to press the button so that it would change numbers, and Billy had to
Yeah.
come and do this for me multiple times.
Yep. Yep. They're good sports though. They know what's up. Ooh, a foil coming out for the
They are.
Swords of
They
Plowshares.
understand that sometimes technology is difficult and complicated and confusing, like buttons
Change
on
is
a
hard.
phone.
Change is hard. Change is hard. Change is scary. Ooh, so we got
It is.
plow,
Change is
plow into that Psychotog.
always bad.
Yeah, I'll give a very brief shout out to Jay. Like Jay is the member of the Duress crew who has done all the techno wizardry for their events, and he has done some sort of fantastical sorcery where he has an iPad, and the iPad is connected to the stream, and when you update the life totals on the iPad, it shows up on the stream. It is absolutely incredible,
Wow, that is pretty impressive.
very much
You
so.
must have a live feed from that iPad
Mm-hmm.
displayed in OBS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but I'm gonna assume it had something to do with black magic sorcery, which would fit in with the punk aesthetic of the dress crew, so makes perfect sense. Looks like
Absolutely.
Josh
I
was
can't disagree with.
yeah, Josh was able to protect the Psychotog, and he's got a huge graveyard, so he's looking pretty good, I think, going into this attack step. I
Wow.
Andy has multiple cards in hand, and Andy's got one. There is that Mishra's Factory in play though, so Josh has to. Wait, did he
And
just
you
not
only
attack?
have one card in hand?
Yeah, Andy only
Wait,
had one card in
wait.
hand, but he didn't attack.
Help me
Interesting.
help me understand, champ. Did Josh with a gigantic Psychotog just not deign to attack?
So we the
Is
the
he at is he at two
yeah,
life?
the keen-eyed of us may have noticed that Josh has taken a lot of damage this game, whereas Andy has been playing with reflecting pools and has not taken a lot of damage. So it is entirely possible Josh just did not have lethal. He just might be eyeballing it from his graveyard size and his hand size. I can't see
He
quite
might
what's
be
going
good
on,
enough
but
that he knows he doesn't have lethal even without checking.
that's my guess.
I
And
would
it seems right. Like I'm guessing Andy's at probably like 17, maybe 15 life, and Josh has got
Oh,
probably 12 cards in his graveyard with like 3 cards in hand, so that's not lethal. And there's a Mistress Factory to
okay.
block with, so um, I don't know what he's worried
Well,
about with the
if
crackback
you,
though. That's yeah, I wasn't paying close
I
enough
mean,
attention to his
the
life
only
total.
reason not to attack is if you fear that 2 damage, because otherwise it's free.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Interesting. Man, if only we had accurate representation of
17.
life totals. Josh and Andy, come on, guys. That's okay. I'll forgive you.
I thought that was 17 cards in the graveyard, but I have no idea what these numbers are, so I don't know.
I get it. Nope, nope. I get it.
And Andy sure has drawn a lot of land. You know what might have been okay for him if he had it?
What's that? An attunement, maybe?
Attunement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy famously despises attunement. He thinks it is the worst thing in Magic the Gathering. He hates
I
that
don't
card.
understand. I
Uh,
love attunement.
I get it. I get it. Which is interesting coming from you because you were always interested in the most efficient draw engines in the format, and that is strictly
Yes.
card disadvantage.
Well, it is until you cast a replenish.
That's
So,
true.
have I
That's
given
true.
you my inverse Xerox theory?
I think you have, yeah, but that sounds about right. Speaking of theories, the theory of resolving spells is not something that's going in favor of Andy, and Josh has been able to stop Andy in his tracks with the. I don't. Josh just seems. I don't know. It's you're. I mean, you're really right on it with Xerox actually, because Josh has just got a lot of business sitting with 6 lands total this entire match, whereas Andy has
Mhm.
like 75. I'm not sure exactly how many lands are in play, but it's a lot.
Yeah, the late game definitely favors Josh. At some point,
Which I would
with
not.
with
Yeah.
not only counters but also duress, he's going to Xerox his way to victory.
Yeah, but I would not expect that though with this because the replenish deck, even with the Psychotog inevitability of damage, the replenish deck does have that lock potential where you just slide out all the lands, slide out all the creatures, and there's just nothing the player can do anymore. But
Oh,
uh,
it
it,
does.
it does require resolving multiple 4 mana spells or a very important 4 mana spell in that of replenish. And Andy
Right.
has had a tough time doing that, which
Every
could be tough against the 2 days 4 foil, counterspell duress deck. So
right. So every counter spell is going to be very much tempo positive because it's going to hit a 4 drop.
right,
Foil is going to be mana neutral, possibly.
yep,
But duress, I think, is really going to give Josh this massive advantage of information. It means that Andy can't just sit back and wait for the perfect time.
right.
Without duress, Andy could just either wait until he's about to die
Hmm.
or wait until he has everything perfectly aligned. But
Well,
on
bless their
account
hearts,
of
they gave
duress,
us life totals.
oh, oh gosh.
Yeah,
So
Josh hit him
that's
for
why
10.
Josh was
Yeah,
second,
because Josh was at
because
3.
he was
Yep,
at
makes
right,
sense.
which is
Makes sense.
lethal if Andy plays a second factory.
Right, because the Mistress Factory can tap to give other Mistress Factories +1/+1. Those seal cleansings, Rich, I don't think they're terribly effective against Psychotog. I could be wrong.
No, Psychotog is not a robot. A lot of people make that
Mm.
mistake. You
Those
might think
teeth
he's
are very
from a
metallic looking.
laboratory.
Yeah,
He is, but he's actually not an artifact. He's he's a biological creature, which is nice. It means that he can't be eaten by, say, Atog,
he's
nor
also
can
afraid. He's
he.
not afraid of things either. You can't terror it. You can't scare it to death.
Absolutely, he's a very. I mean, you'd be brave too if you were a Psychotog.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, let me see here. Josh is playing 3 sleight of hands. I'm looking at my extra cards I've been trying to get rid of, and I'm trying to see. I have 2 7th edition sleight of hands, and I think I'm gonna see Josh tomorrow. So I need to fix. I need to fix this egregious error with the.
That's very good of you. Yeah, seventh
Yeah,
edition is really good art.
it does, and it's also not whatever is showing up on the screen right now. I need to put a not safe for work uh banner up for those sleight of hands.
You should do that. People shouldn't be subjected to having to
No,
see that sort of thing.
no. Yeah, I was watching Will play against Brian last night in the Super Series, oh not the Super Series, the Fall Brawl top 8. And shout out to Brian. He hooked me up with some foreign black bordered red blast, by the way. But Will
Nice.
played a 8th edition. naturalize, and it made me very sad. And I also realized I gave away a lot of my naturalizes because I was like, I'm gonna just send you a playset of naturalizes, but I only have like 5 maybe, so I cannot afford to send him another 4 without finding some more. But
I I've sent William something like 50 to 100 old framed land, so I wouldn't have to look at him playing with new framed land.
hey, be the change you want to see in the world. Okay, so this parallax
Exactly.
wave gets
Exactly.
countered, and it looks like Josh is probably gonna swing in pretty convincingly. Andy's sitting with presumably no cards in hand because he's got his arms folded. Uh,
Get that one hidden Swords to Plowshares just in case.
right up his sleeve. But yeah, these seal cleansings not looking good against Psychotog, and that's really what I think like did such a good job for from Mike for the Duress crew who made top 8 or final. What Mike made finals, right? He played against
Yeah.
Brian Selden. Yeah, yeah. So Psychotog really good against
Um,
artifact destruction. So if he's playing against like disenchants and stuff like that, doesn't matter.
well, I don't know. Maybe that's an argument to just play 2 copies of Seal of Cleansing instead of 4.
Very much so. Ooh, oh, okay, things are getting this is spicy.
Wow, that
So
is
we've got
lethal.
yeah, well we got wait, that was
Does
lethal.
he not attack?
He did
I'm
not
so
attack.
confused.
I think Andy forgot that he could attack with those. I think he was so surprised that his Opalescence resolved, he forgot to attack.
Wow.
Whoops.
I am. Wow.
It's good to know that
So
Andy's human because Andy is very, very skilled at this Magic the Gathering game. So
he's very good. He's
yeah,
extremely good.
I think so. Yeah, Andy was in the same mindset I was, where he's like, okay, I need to block these Psychotogs, and in his defense, Andy doesn't know that Josh doesn't. Well, Josh is at 1, so he can't cast Smother. Yeah, that's no, that's tough. That's I would say that's a bit of an oopsie, a bit of an oopsie, but I think Andy just caught it now that he could have attacked with his Seal Cleansing, so he's trying to decide if he can block one of the Psychotogs and not die to the second one. And I can't see how many cards Josh has got going, but um,
Mm.
Psychotog notably very good at killing people. Yep. So Andy has done the math and decided he is okay. Josh has 3 cards, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, 5, 6, 7. He's got exact C's on the board if he goes for it. I'm not sure. I think this was later in the tournament as for what it's worth. I think it was like round 4 out of 5.
Mm.
And Josh is sort of going for it. So 2, 3, yep. 4, 5, 6. It should be lethal. Oh no, Josh has a 4th card I didn't see. Okay. I think Andy just was hoping that Josh didn't see it, um, and then killed. But yeah, if Andy blocks with the seal cleansing there, he's got an out to draw opalescence or wave or replenish. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, that was a big advertisement for attunement.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because Rasuma comes back and then you just cast it back down again. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's shake off a little bit of the rust there, and we'll
Yeah, yeah,
see what we got
yeah.
there. We still got
It is
another
always
good
so
chunk
much
of time left.
easier to watch a match and comment on it. We have the easy job. We're not there. We don't
Yup.
have the adrenaline flowing.
Yup.
We haven't been playing 3 prior rounds. So
Yup.
what we're doing is so much easier than trying to make the decisions from the table.
Oh, for sure. And I'm always talking crap and making fun of people during matches, so it's just not good to be around me when you're playing Magic and you're trying to do well. So this is not all on Andy. This is probably partially my fault too.
Not good for your opponents to be around you, champ.
Yes and no. Ooh, meddling mage. Okay, I did not see that
Are
part of
those
Andy's sideboard. He's
Korean
got 3.
basics? I can't quite see from here.
They are, yeah. I think Andy
Very nice.
got rid of them recently. He was moving some cards
Really?
around. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe it was Japanese ones. I don't know. He's got a bunch of foreign black border basics that have been kicking around. All right,
I like
Phyrexian is
that.
named by the meddling mage. Thank you, past Carl, for editing that in there. And
Yeah, that is nice of Pat Carl.
past Carl is generally not super kind to present Carl, but in this case he was.
Yeah. And I won't fault Josh for playing revised basics. Those are good too. You can't really go wrong with any basic from that era.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I my pre-modern hot take is that there are no wrong pre-modern era basic lands.
Yes,
They are
I
all good.
agree. Some are more right than others, but none of them are wrong.
Yeah. I don't know how well versed in the internet you are, Rich, but there used to be a Twitter account called We Rate Dogs, and it was a 1 to 10 scale, and they would show pictures of dogs, and every single dog was like an 11, 12, 13, or 14 out of 10. Um, and I feel like that applies to basic lands in pre-modern. Like they're all at least a 10 out of 10 baseline, and then you
Yeah,
just go up from there.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think you actually can't go wrong. They're all very nice.
Okay, so Josh
Just
tapping
like you
three
can't
man.
go wrong with ATOGs.
Wow.
Is that
You
of
also cannot go
course
wrong
like a
with
time?
Parallax Nexus. Woo
Oh
boy.
man.
All right, but Andy's got like
Wow.
6 cards in hand, so this is not going to be the world's best Parallax Nexus. But
I
man,
guess
that's
if Andy
powerful.
can remove it, he'll get his cards back. But if he can't,
Yeah,
that could be
if
life
Josh
for
has the
him.
stifle, that's gonna be really powerful. Really powerful. Yeah. Okay. So it's face up,
And I think it's
Andy.
face up, isn't it?
It is face
I
up.
think
Yeah.
that the reveal is face up.
Yeah, they're working that out between themselves now. Yep. Typically, I will edit out the little interactions like this where they're like, I don't know what's going on, or at the top of Andy's head for a good couple seconds there. But they did not work it out themselves. Okay. Um.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, sure. Okay. Whatever. Magic's a complicated game,
it is.
and not
If any of
everybody
those
is.
cards from Andy can get rid of that, then
I and yeah, I mean Andy does play Seal Cleansing, so there is a
yeah,
possibility Seal Cleansing just comes out. Okay, so
it's
it's
hard to
not.
imagine that he would sideboard Seal of Cleansing out against a Dreadnought deck.
Yeah, that seems like a thing. Andy does have the mana leak for the stifle though. Ooh.
Wow.
Oh boy. Let's pour one out for Andy here. Got a lot of cards exiled
Wow.
there. 2 counter spells and accumulated knowledge, a swords of plowshares. Yeah,
Man, that is
they're face
brutal.
up, Andy. It's okay. They're face up. Yep, they're face up. And a mana leak. Oof. Okay, that's fine. They are face up. That's something for another time.
Yeah,
That said, we do have this meddling mage attacking for 2 every turn, which is
that's true.
not
That's
nothing.
true.
That was actually an issue I found with my blue black Psychotog Parallax Nexus deck, where I would like mind twist people and then they would just kill me with a 2/2. I'm like, well, I guess it's something you're allowed to do.
That Mishra's Factory that I was saying I don't like very much might just end up getting there this game.
Yeah, yeah. Josh is at 16 now. They didn't update the counter, but that's a 4 turn clock, and Josh does not have a lot of cards in hand. He just looked at 2 lands with sleight of hand. So this is a
Mhm.
non-zero chance of the 2/2s getting there.
Aging Dr. Teeth.
That would be a very good card right now. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Speaking of Dr. Teeth, Phil Nguyen was building trying to build a consensus to build a PowerPoint party where you make a PowerPoint about Magic and then we like show them off together. And my PowerPoint is about how modern vintage is stupid because it's full of 2/2s, like Meddling Mage, and how Psychotog is the one true path.
Hmm. I can't argue with that. Psychotog is a great card, and I'm
Hmm.
sure better than whatever's going on today. Did
Oh
you
my
know
god.
that they made a card that's very much like a Psychotog, but it was a psychic frog, and they
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
make it an ATOG?
I am aware. I am
They-
aware.
Did you
They
know
all,
that they missed the opportunity for creature frog ATOG?
yeah, no, they missed out on that. They also made a hate bearer that counters your opponent's moxes, but not yours.
That just seems like very poor design. I
Yep.
mean,
There's also a hate bear
how
that
many
pings your opponent and makes a creature bigger for each time your opponent draws cards outside of the normal draw step. It's just stupid. You'll have to see my PowerPoint about it. I
everything
go into it
about
in great
that?
detail. It's just bad.
How many hundreds of thousands of dollars do you think Hasbro stock has lost because Psychic Frog wasn't an ATOG? I'm gonna guess about 800,000.
You are allowed to make that guess. Definitely.
That is my guess.
All right,
I
Josh
could be
goes down.
wrong.
Josh goes down to 5
It
here with the meddling mage
I,
and not
I,
City of Traders land attacking.
I might be underestimating the
It's entirely
impact this
possible.
had
It
on.
is entirely possible. Yeah, it is entirely possible. These 2/2s are getting there. Like I'm 100% okay with
Yeah,
tutus in pre-modern. Like that is fine. That is the era we played in. Tutus were good. I mean, heck, I
yeah,
mean, Meddling Mage came out and you're just like, dang, you get a tutu with upside for 2 mana. I'm here for that.
right.
But
The going rate
vintage,
was Galena's Knight, the same card in the same block, which
right?
was just pro red.
That was also quite good though. Like it didn't die to Urza's Rage. You couldn't fire ice it. You couldn't kill with Goblin
Yeah,
Legionnaire.
he
Like
still playing.
there was a lot
I
going
think he
for
was
it.
in his flip four winning solution deck, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The solution did play Galena's Knight in addition to
So
Meddling Mage for sure.
Galena's Knight was a pro tour winning card, which and Meddling Mage was also in that deck.
Yep, that was I'll probably say the silver age of Magic. I wouldn't say it's the golden age, but it was a good time. It was
I
a very good
agree.
time.
I agree. The 93 94 was the golden age, and
Hmm.
pre-modern we are playing the silver age
Hmm.
as Josh desperately digs for Psychotog, which again is a very pre-modern appropriate thing to be doing.
100%. And the best part about it is it's probably I'm gonna speak to the side with the audience here real quick. It's probably not, but it's still fine.
The fact that Josh doesn't have a Psychotog is probably not that good.
That is also not good. And Josh scoops it up and they go into game
What?
3. Wow.
How did we tell more? What happened? I'm so confused.
Josh was at 5 and he was facing down two tutus. And regardless of what Josh played next turn, he would have to resolve 2 creatures or have a creature plus an answer for the Meddling Mage and the Mishra's Factory. And I don't think that was forthcoming, so Josh just scooped it up.
He had just played Psychotog plus a powder keg.
He could have, but he did not. Thusly, he scooped.
Oh,
He
so
probably
he
boarded.
missed the.
Yeah, he probably boarded out Keg if I had to guess. So you got to take out something for those Parallax Nexuses, and I think
Okay,
Powder Keg is a
okay,
good target for
fair
that.
enough.
But
All
that,
right, so after
yeah,
all of my denouncing those factories, Andy just went coast to coast with them
he sure
after
did.
losing 5 cards from his hand. So,
Yeah, no,
you know,
it
fair
doubled the speed
enough.
of the clock. Like the Meddling Mage would
Yeah,
have probably gotten there, but the Mishra's Factory kind of locked it up.
yeah, that was very good.
Yeah, and that shows off the real struggle with Parallax Nexus. Like I think Parallax Nexus is a super sweet card, but like if Josh was holding a Phyrexian Dreadnought there, it would have felt really bad because he used that stifle on the Nexus and not on the Dreadnought.
Hmm,
So
true. You know, unlike Tide or Wave, it does not impact the board.
correct, correct. And your opponent gets to choose. Like you don't have agency with Parallax Nexus. Your opponent does.
Yeah,
Um,
can't even use it like an instant.
yeah, yeah. So it's a very interesting card. I think it's a very interesting card. All right, counterspell comes out for the seal cleansing, which makes sense because 4 of Josh's ways to win the game are robots, and robots do not like being clean.
That's true.
Duress comes out. Okay. Let's see Andy's hand. Okay. Interesting. Gotta guess that
Wow,
Josh is gonna
that's
go for the plow here, because plow answers both of his threats, but not.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
think
seal
I
cleansing does
think
not.
you're right.
Yeah. Yep, there goes the plow. Yep.
That's an unimpressive hand from Andy, but in some ways that's exactly what you want to get to rest.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of robots, I'll just do a brief shout out for the National Havoc. I think it's National. I can't remember the name of the acronym definition, but here comes the seal cleansing. National Havoc Robot League, where they do battle bots. Basically, people build robots in different weight classes, and then they beat each other up. It's pretty great.
I like the fact that I'm a little overweight shouldn't matter if I'm building a robot. You know, I feel like that's not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
relevant.
That's fair. That's fair. Some of the robots have flamethrowers.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
It is very cool. My wife, my son, and I went up to New Hampshire for a Robot League battle match because my brother-in-law was there and he's super into it. And we were not at they had like different cages for each of the robot matches. We were not at the one that it happened at, but we were like 2 cages down. And there was a robot that used a flamethrower and basically like melted the electronics of the other one. It was super sweet.
Wow.
I've got to imagine that
Is
seal
that
cleansing.
allowed?
Oh yes, 100%, 100%. I've got to imagine that seal cleansing is very much in the same vein where you're like using fire to like purify your opponent's robot so it doesn't work anymore.
I guess that would make sense because the alternative is that you wash the opponent's robot and now the robot dies
Right.
because
It's
of
too clean.
too
Yeah, that doesn't
much
make sense. Yeah, no, that
movement.
doesn't. Yeah,
It
not.
it really doesn't make sense. Like you have, say, a fountain of youth, and then you make it a clean fountain. Does it maybe it removes
Mm,
all the magic. So it becomes a normal fountain. So it's
maybe.
it's no longer a magic enchanted fountain.
Yeah, I would imagine a fountain by definition is pretty clean. I guess not, like, cause like
It
birds can poop
it,
on it
it
and
would
stuff. I
have
don't
to
know.
be,
Yeah.
but maybe it metaphorically cleanses the magic behind it, so it just becomes
Mm,
a non-magical thing.
yep.
This was before they started making, I think, random non-magical things into artifacts. So
Yeah.
there was generally something magical about most artifacts.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Uh,
Speaking about magical artifacts, Andy has gotten a Mishra's Factory on the board, which Josh does not
Magical
have a lot of
artifact.
ways to deal with. Like Andy can just kind of sit on this factory, just battle in, and oh, he's got a nice little 2 mana inspiration here. Love to see it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he is definitely proving me wrong about Factory, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's super good. Like the thing is, like, obviously it's like a super derpy win condition where you don't get there super fast, but it blocks. Like Mishra's Factory is allowed to block, and we're playing with current rules, so it gets to block as a 3/3 after the first turn is in play.
Yeah, true.
I don't. So Rich, I know you play a lot of old school. Is 2 mana for Ancestral Recall still a pretty good rate?
Oh yeah, I'd still do that. In fact, sometimes I'll even play Ancestral for a blue, a black, and a colorless. And I feel
Hmm.
pretty good about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so Andy gets his Ancestral Recall countered, but the Mishra's Factory gets in, and your favorite land, Coastal Tower, comes out.
There it is. Coasting along.
Yeah, so this I think Josh is going to be on the same game plan as game one, where he's got to try and win with Psychotogs because there's that seal cleansing. Like seal cleansing means that Josh has to have Phyrexian Dreadnought, Enabler, plus another enabler, either a Vision Charm or a Stifle, just like the first one. And
Giant brain freeze would still be really good here.
it's so early for that though, and Andy's got the pressure from the Mistress Factory, so like he just can't
That's
sit there and
true.
hope for Brain Freeze. Um,
That's true. Factory is a clock. A
yeah,
very
it's
legitimate clock.
very much so. Yeah, it's not the fastest clock, but it gets there. And bless your heart, Andy, for keeping the life total tracker up to date, so I can see what's going on now.
Yeah, Josh has to be trying to find something.
Yeah, yeah. I've built blue black Tog before. I played with Unearth, which I think was
I like
interesting,
it.
but I don't know how you fit. Like
Yeah,
the thing is, like you got to fit in so many things, and I do not think Unearth is one of those. Oh, it looks like we have a Psychotog coming out.
time for Dr. Teeth to arrive.
Oh no, Josh wants to mind twist Andy. He
Oh,
wants to build your own mind twist. That's what he wants to do.
it is, of course. Well, it's awkward because Andy has seal. So the way this plays out is that if Josh takes one card, Andy could seal in response and lose that card forever.
Right. So if it's like a land or something,
But
he just doesn't care. But I think Andy wants to keep
that's
the seal to deal with Phyrexian Dreadnought, which seems to be what he's choosing to
true.
do.
I
Like the
mean,
other Parallax
that
enchantments, Parallax Nexus does have a Leaves Play trigger that gives you your cards back. So Andy, I think, is kind of playing around that because Josh may have a Stifle to stop that from giving the cards back. Ooh.
that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Josh seems to agree with the Annul. Annul's such a good card. I think it's almost main deck worthy in pre-modern. Like it
I
just
think
does
it
so much
is.
work.
Yeah. I think one annul will seldom steer you wrong in a control deck.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Especially playing probe. You can cast probe with the kicker and discard your annul. Ooh, okay,
Oh,
so Phyrexian Dreadnought
here
comes
comes
down.
this.
So that was a really good counter from Josh on the Parallax wave. So Andy
Yeah.
has a decision here. He can try and go for the seal cleansing on the Dreadnought with that Vision Charm on the stack, or he can do what many a player will do and try and do it on Josh's upkeep, and then try and okay, so he's going for the seal on
Or he
the
wants his hand
Nexus.
back. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's wait, so he stifled the seal cleansing. Okay, okay. I
Right.
think
So
Andy was out of
Andy
cards,
has
so Andy would just got no cards, but um Yeah, so Josh had the stifle. I thought I would have expected him to stifle the leaves play trigger on the Nexus. So that may have just been another misstep. Again, this is later in the event. These guys have been playing for a good
Right.
35, 40 minutes at this point.
The
And
effect would have been the same, except that Andy would never have gotten those cards back.
right. I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference either way because I don't think Andy drew anything relevant. Um, but yeah, I think it was a bit of an error. I think we have the in baseball. I don't know how familiar you are with sports ball, Rich, but I think in baseball they have an error count, and
Okay.
that is a thing. Okay, so we got the disenchant on the dreadnought,
Oh,
but
wow.
Josh is the
Look at that.
foil. Okay, but he's untapping and retapping. Oh man, these go boys. You're playing so sloppy. Tidy up your game states. Whew. Okay, so
I'm
foil
glad that no
counters
one's
the
keeping track
disenchant.
of our errors in Magic, because I feel like there'd be a lot of them. But it's also very,
Yeah, yeah,
very subjective.
yep. Also very subjective too. Like errors are
Yeah,
not always objectively one thing or the other, right?
right. Errors are going to be very subjective. I mean, some
Mm-hmm.
things like that last play was clearly an error, but a lot
Yeah,
of these are judgment calls.
yeah, yep.
Furnace. Okay, well that's not terrible.
Furnace. Okay,
That's
yeah, that's
actually
not
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know how you feel about it. I think we're in an era with Phyrexian Furnace is good. I think Tormod's Crypt might be better.
I think it depends on what you want to do, but as a sideboard card, I definitely like Crypt better.
Yeah.
Um, Furnace for like a main deck card, I think you can definitely
Yes.
justify. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. I definitely have Furnace, a couple of decks that are main deck, and then the sideboard slots are all Tormod's Crypts.
yeah, I like that.
All right. So Andy cracks in for two. Is he gonna
He
get his
doesn't
cards
have
back?
anything.
He gets his cards back. He's got a plow though. During Josh's upkeep, Josh has a counterspell, and Andy looks like he has a bunch of lands, and they scoop it up.
Wow,
Excellent match, guys. Excellent match. Andy actually does have a
that was
win there. There should be a one in that column. Maybe I'll go back and I'll scrub that out and put a one in there.
past
But
Andy is just depriving. Oh, past Carl is depriving past Andy of past Andy's win.
yep. So it looks like Andy brought in some meddling mages. Josh brought in those the parallax nexuses, and I don't think we got to see anything else. But that was a fantastic match. Very well fought from both players.
That was
But
that was
yeah,
really good.
yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap up, Rich?
No, I think we got to see some real strengths of both decks, and
Mm-hmm.
that was a great match.
Did Andy sell you on Mishra's Factory? I'm curious.
No, I still think that you don't want to be playing so many land as Factory. Mishra's Factory is not good in a world where Sabo's Web is as good as it is.